All right. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKakodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who was worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and for love of the gospel. This is Brother Gabaria from the Indiana camp, coming back at you again, one of the sit down. All right, and I don't really have a title for this video just yet. It was just something that was on my spirit. But basically, I guess I can just title it can an Israelite man have women of the other races, all right, or the other nations, if you know, whatever which one we want to call it, all right. And when I say other races or other nations, I'm talking about non-Israelite women, you know. So can an Israelite man get with non-Israelite women, like, you know, Japanese women, white women, Chinese women, Arab women, African women? You know, can an Israelite man get with those type of women? And the answer is yes. All right, and I'm going to prove it through scriptures that there's nothing wrong with that. All right, you know, you have a lot, and it's mainly a woman thing, you know, but you do have some cats out there that pushes the, you know, you have to get with an Israelite woman, you know, it's not lawful, or, you know, you're not supposed to lay down with a heathen, you know, which in certain scriptures, when it mentions that, you know, we're gonna get into it, you know. So right now I looked up the word concubine because the word concubine is in the scripture, so I looked it up in the etymology. So let's go ahead and start off with this. This is concubine. It says a paramour. Hold on, look up this word meaning right quick.
Paramour,
a lover, especially okay. So it's a lover, a marriage or partner, a person married. Okay, so a paramour, a woman who cohabits with a man without being married to him. Also, in reference to Hebrew, Greek, Roman, it says of civilizations where the position was recognized by law, a wife or inferior condition. See, a wife of inferior condition. See, so she would be considered, you know, a man who would get to it, but she'll be inferior, which means less than. All right, somebody that's not low in rank, status, or quality. You see, so a concubine wouldn't be equal with your wife. All right, and a concubine is basically a non-Israelite woman, you know, a heathenistic woman, where that you will marry. All right, so Edomite, Moabite, Ammonite, those will all be considered concubines. So you can't make a concubine out of an Israelite woman, you see. But of the other nations, of the heathens, you can have a concubine. All right, King David and King Solomon had concubines. You know, they had heathenistic women that were, you know, that they got with, you see. And this is lawful. There's no scripture that's against this. All right, you know, and especially our women, you know, when the NW or whatever, when they see, you know, so-called Judah, especially so-called Judah, but when they see the tribes get with, you know, certain women that's not of their own, they it's looked down upon or it's frowned upon, which, you know, there's nothing against that. All right, according to the scriptures, that's completely lawful. So, you know, get out your feelings, you know, and just deal with it. All right. It says a wife of inferior condition, a second wife. It says of Latin concubinus. It says one who lives unmarried with a married man or woman. All right. It says usually in Rome, the concubine was a lower social order. It says, but the institution, though below matrimony, was less reproachful than the adulterum or sternum. Says the word itself is from concubera, to lie with, to lie together, to cohabit, It says from the simulation kind, which means together, to lie down. Yep. Uh, says such concubines were allowed by the Greeks and Romans law, and for many centuries they were more or less tolerated by the church for both priest and laymen. The concubines of the priests were sometimes called the priestess. Dictionary, Middle East Latin, man who cohabits with a woman without married. Concubine, blossom. Okay, yeah. So one that keeps a concubine. Yeah. So we understand that concubine is basically a lower version of a wife. All right. You see, so it's a sex slave, if you want to call it that. Whichever one, they're all interchangeable. Concubine, sex slave, whatever. Which if she's your concubine, she if you want her to do something besides sex, you can, because she's like a second wife. So if you want her to rub your feet, if you want her to cook your dinner, if you want her to she's a second wife, so she'll do all the things that a wife would do. All right. So that would bring up the question, well, how would you acquire, or how would you get a concubine, or where would how would you obtain one? All right. Well, we have a law in Deuteronomy 21st chapter on how how to basically how will one acquire a concubine, if you want to say it that way. But this is Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 10. It says, and when thou goest forth to war, this is one of the scriptures we call spoils of war. It says, when thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, it says, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them in thy hands, and thou hast taken them captives. So basically, when you go to war with somebody and you win, or the Lord delivers them into your hands, basically means you winning. All right. They have been conquered. All right. It says, and thou seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, and thou wouldest have her to be thy wife. See, so if, let's say, you go, the men are all destroyed, the war is over, y'all have taken over the land, and you see a beautiful woman that you want to take unto her. There's certain things, there's certain steps that she has to take before you actually can go into her. You see, verse 12, it says, thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and par her nails. See, so when you take her, what you have to cut all her hair off, and you have to cut her nails off. All right. It says and she shall put her raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. All right. So you give her time to get over the fact that her parents are dead. It says and after that thou shalt go unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. You see, and like we said, man, that wife, this being a heathen woman, will be a concubine. All right, she would be a secondary wife. You see, and listen, and when this did happen, the Israelite woman, or let's say you had a wife, they didn't have nothing to say about it. They really didn't, it didn't really bother them back in the day. All right. Now, this is a practice that we don't necessarily do now. When I say now, I'm talking about right now being in America, but this will be in the kingdom. In the kingdom, we will have concubines again. Concubines will be coming back. All right. And guess what? You women are going to be okay with it. All right. Y'all going to be okay with us getting with the heathen woman. All right. Y'all necessarily are not going to feel no type of way about it. Yeah, the Lord's going to put y'all back in y'all right state of mind. Right now, y'all, Esau has bamboozled and cadoodled your mind to making you think that, oh, it's cheating. You can't cheat on me. That's cheating. There's no such thing as cheating. Cheating isn't in the scriptures. All right. It's either adultery or it's lawful. All right. Adultery is when a man sleeps with another man's woman. All right. That's adultery. If she doesn't have a man, or she's not betrothed, then guess what? She's fair gained. All right. She's basically fair gained. You see, and yeah, there's no such thing as cheating. All right, a man can't go and cheat on his woman. You see, she's like, I mean, I hated to put it like this, but she's like a pair of shoes, or a favorite coat, or your favorite outfit. You see, you don't have just one favorite outfit. You usually have like a set. Oh, these outfits. I might have like 4 or 5 different outfits that I like. You might have 4 or 5 different women that you like. Yeah, these these the ones I like. But like I said, man, right now we don't necessarily do this in this kingdom, because what one is prohibited. Esau, he'll come down on you. If you do this, but also because it just wouldn't really be wise. Fucking taking care of. I mean, if you got the means to do it, then you do it. But shit, dealing with one of them is already headache enough, and if you having 2 and 3 and 4 and try the whole poly thing, it's the brothers that start doing it, hey, may the Lord bless your hands. But I know for someone like me, I can't. One gives me a headache enough, and if she even wanted to, get right and saying, oh, you can, do that, I wouldn't even think I would do it. Not to the kingdom. Not until I have, that's when the Lord is gonna bless me with the amount of patience to deal with it. All right, but right now, while we in this situation, I don't want to really divide. And that's another thing too, dividing your attention, and you got to give one. You got to give one. What is it? You got to give one your attention, and then you got to give another one your attention. It's just, listen, I don't have that much attention to give. So one for right now, but in the kingdom definitely is. This is gonna come. We're gonna have women of the other nations. All right, we're gonna have especially, of course, we're gonna have the tribe women. So-called Indub. When she's not gonna be Indub no more. She's actually gonna be a Judite woman. She's gonna get back in her right state of mind. We're gonna get the Issacharite women. The Naphtali women, Issacharite, Ephraim. We're gonna give back to the tribes, and then we're also gonna get of the other nations as well. You see, we're gonna get the Moabite woman, the Edomite woman. All right, the Hamitic woman, the Japhite woman. We're gonna get them too. And just because we're gonna get them, don't mean it's gonna be easy for them. Like whatever. I ain't gonna get into it, but just know the Edomite women ain't gonna have it easy. You're still Esau. You're still Edomite. According to me, according to what I got going on, you're not gonna have it easy neither. But anyways, that's another video for a different topic. Now a lot of you might be thinking like, oh well, where what the scriptures said don't give your daughters to them, well, it's a reason for that. All right, because a lot of and this is what Jake uses to push that narrative on. Oh, you can't marry. It's unlawful for an Israelite man to get with a heathen woman. He got to get with an Israelite woman. Well, my question to that is, who did Jacob get with to make the Israelite? First of all, there's no such thing as mixed seeds, because that's what they try to boil it down to. It's like, oh, you're mixing the seed. You're mixing the seed. First of all, there's no such thing as mixed seed. You are whatever your father is. All right. If your father was an Israelite, it doesn't matter what that woman was. She could be whatever. The child still is going to come out as an Israelite. You see, so there's no such things as mixed, or I'm mixed. I have a little bit of this in me. I have a little bit of that in me. No, you can't mix a seed. A seed is whatever it was. Apple seed, doesn't matter what soil, what dirt you put it in, it's still going to come up out as an apple tree. It's going to bear an apple, and that apple is going to have a seed in it, and so forth and so forth. So you are whatever your father is. You see? So when the Lord commanded us not to, basically intermingle or get with certain heathens, when we were cleansing out our land, it's because what our Lord understood that we were gonna go off and serve other gods. You see, and that's what it all boils down to. All right, That's the reason why the Lord commanded us not to, intermarriage between those heathens. Not because it was off, but because what he understood that, man. Listen, when Jake, get a woman from another nation, he Scripture says what many has ran out their wits for women. Type in wit, and is it woman or women? I'm gonna type in woman first, and then I should type in ran. Let me type in ran. I'm spelling wit right. Is it one T or is it? Hold on. Bear with me. It's one T, okay. Here it is right here. It says First Ezra chapter 4 verse 26. It says, "For many there be that have ran out their wits for women and become servants for their sake." See, so this word wit goes into what knowledge, or let's look it up. It says mental sharpness or intentiveness, neo intelligence. You see, so what they have ran out their wits, which the parable of ran at your wits for a person is like, let's see what Google says about running out your wits. Ran out their wits. It says ran out their wits usually means being extremely frightening or terrified. It says, but it's often used in a verb that is scared, frightened, to show intensive fear, to stop someone from thinking clearly. To relate phrase, it says at their wits' end, meaning to be confused, worried, or overwhelmed by a problem that you don't know what to do next. Both idioms describe the state of mental overload, but out of their wits, focus on panic, shock, while their wits end focus on frustration or helplessness. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not really what I was looking for, but because running out your wits there basically means you're doing anything to please that person, it says many have ran out. So what? A lot of men has lost their way because of a woman. Hey, even today's, there's certain brothers who stopped doing the truth because of a woman. Matter of fact, ironically speaking, the former head of this camp of Indiana, he really, to be honest, his woman is kind of the reason why he's not doing the work no more. He was a younger guy. He had got a woman, and she kind of like, it's a lot to go into, but to save you the story, she was kind of the reason why he's not doing the truth no more. You see, she kind of was running the camp. He was going back. He was telling her everything. He was doing videos with her, and it's kind of, and that's what kind of got him in trouble. And shit. I mean, eventually got him kicked out. Now I heard that he's not even with the woman anymore, and he's not even doing the work. You see, so hey, Get them with a woman. And the Lord sees it. The Lord understands that what when men gets with certain women, what you'll fucking you'll change, just to please that woman. You see, so that's the reason why we were commanded not to intermingle with these heathens. You see, did I read it? I don't even think I read it yet. I'm going to read. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. It says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, and thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them, and thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy upon them. Verse 3, it says, neither shalt thou make marriage with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto her son, nor your daughters unto thou shalt take unto thy sons. Here's the point right here. It says what? For they will turn away thy son from following me, and they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. It says, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. See, so this is the reason why the Lord said, hey, listen, don't get with they women. Don't marriage between them. All right, because let's go ahead. Hey, listen, your sons are gonna turn from me and serve their gods. All right, and you seen that happen, and we seen that happen. I'm gonna get to the examples in a minute, but we seen that happen. All right, and what happens? What the Lord will get angry, and he's gonna have to deal with us. He's gonna have to destroy us. You see, matter of fact, that actually happened in what was that? Do I get it in the next? No, that's not it. What did that happen at? I think it was Numbers, or was it Leviticus? What was it? Hold on. Bear with me for a minute. Just type it in. Should pop up. Lord willing, it pops up. Here's right here. The water Numbers 25. This is javelin spear, same. All right. This is Numbers chapter 25, verse 1. It says in Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. See. It says, and they called the people unto the sacrifice of their gods, and the people did eat and bow down to their gods. And Israel joined themselves to Baal Peor. It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them. See why? Because what? They were committing whoredom with the daughters of Moab, because what they were serving their gods. You see, and that's what angers the Lord. Not because they're getting with the women, not because they're lying down, and no, not that. The fact that the Lord's mad is what the Lord, because what the men were serving the gods of Baal Peor. That's where the transgression happens at. Not because you get with the heathen woman, which what is, our people, certain our people try to twist and conjoin and see you're supposed to get with an Israelite woman. No, you getting with a heathen woman is not unlawful. It's just when you start serving their gods is where the problem lies in at. It says, and the Lord said unto Moses, take all the heads of thy people and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, and the fierce anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. Verse 5, it says, and Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay ye every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianish woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Verse 7, it says, and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar and the son of Aaron, the priest, saw it and rose up among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand. And when he went after the man of Israel in the tent and thrust both of them through. It says the man of Israel and the woman through their belly. So the plague was slain from the children of Israel. You see, and that's where the sin lies at, man. Not because what the Israelite men were getting with the women, but because what they were going to serve Baal Peor. All right, a false idol, a false god. All right. Same what happened to what? King Solomon. All right. King Solomon had, matter of fact, let me read it right here. This is 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zionites, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go unto them, neither shall they come unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon cleaved unto these in love. You see, and what happened? Oh wait, it's gonna say verse 3, it says, and he had 700 wives, princesses. It says, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. You see, and it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart from after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, and was the heart of, it says, and was the heart of David his father. You see, so that's where the sin lied at, man, because what King Solomon's heart was turned from the Lord and started to serve other gods. You see, him having these women, the Edomites, the Hittites, the Moabites, the Amorites, it wasn't the sin that he had these women. The sin lied in where what he turned into these other gods and started serving their gods and not Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua no more. That's where the trouble comes in at. So in the kingdom, we're not going to have this problem. Our hearts are only going to be towards Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua forever and always. So we're not going to worry about serving other gods, having these heathen women and serving other gods, man. We're not gonna have to worry about that. So thus far, if you get rid of that part, you can have as many concubines as you want. There's no end to them. You see, matter of fact, right here, in Second Samuel chapter 5, David had concubines as well, just as many as King Solomon. But guess what? King David didn't turn, and start serving other gods. And guess what? That wasn't the sins King David did. This wasn't one of them. You see? Let's go ahead and read this. 1 Samuel chapter 5, verse 13. Excuse me. It says, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he had come to Hebron, It says, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. All right. So what? This matter of fact, let's go ahead and look up. I'm gonna ask Google. I typed in all the sins of King David, everything that all the sins that he did, which was what the sins of Bathsheba and Uriah the Hittite. So what, he lusted and got up after he murdered Uriah the Hittite and he committed adultery with Bathsheba. Let's see, other sins: fault, pride and disobedience, ordering certain to fighting men, potentially trust in military might over God. It says conqueror and repentance for God allowed consequences. The firstborn Bathsheba died. As okay, committing a rich man, Nathaniel parable as to declare you are that man. Okay, using his royalty to take desired order as a. So really, to be honest, this one was really the only one that they're naming. What are some of the sins King David committed? Notable adultery and murder. See, but it's not. But you've noticed that it's not naming he served other gods. All right, repented from all his sins and committed it. You see, matter of fact. No, King David considerably portrayed in the Bible as a man deeply devoted to Yahweh. It says, and one God of Israel, primary him above all, is established in turn worship and written in Psalms, praising God. You see, so what? He never turned and served other gods. All right. So what? King David having all these women, he said more concubines and wives. What? He didn't make the same mistake as King Solomon did. Thus for it shows you, this is a prime example. It shows you, like, listen, him having the concubines wasn't the problem. It was what serving the other gods is what the problem was. So here you go, King David and King Solomon both had concubines, both had heathenistic women, and there was no problem with the Lord didn't look at that as that being a problem. You see, the problem came in when you go into those guys of the heathenistic women that you're with. That's where the problem ensues at, and to put the icing on the cake, whatever, like I said at the beginning of the lesson, whatever woman you get with, it doesn't matter what that baby is gonna come. The baby that's being born is always gonna be an Israelite, because why? You're an Israelite. You see, and to put that into perspective, this is 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 43. It says, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. You see, now Rehoboam, let's see, came from who? Solomon. All right, now let's see who Rehoboam's mother was, which if you're familiar with the Bible, you already know where I'm going with this. But let's see who was Rehoboam's mother, and let's see, was she an Israelite? All right. All right. What is it? 14? Yeah, here it is right here. This is 1 Kings chapter 14 verse 21. So we understand Rehoboam come from Solomon. It says, and Rehoboam the son of Solomon reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years, and he began to reign when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem. It says, the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there, and his mother's name was Naamah, an Amorite. You see, so his mother was an Amorite. But what? Why was he reigning over Judah. Because why? He was a Judite. He came from King Solomon, who came from King David, who came from the tribe of Judah. So Rehoboam was what? A Judite. But what? He had an Ammonite mother, but it didn't matter because his father. It doesn't matter what your mother is. It matters what your father is. So this is a prime example of showing you, listen, your mother could be Ammonite, a Edomite, a Cushite, whatever. As long as your father is an Israelite, that child would be an Israelite. Now, why didn't he call Rehoboam a Ammonite? Because, like I said, it doesn't matter what your mother is. The father is the point. That's why when we go out there and ask, is like, what was your father? Oh, well, my mother was this and that. It doesn't matter what your mother is. It's whatever your father was, because that's who holds the seed, you know. Now, just to show you how ass backwards or the small hats is, you are whatever your mother is. You see, that's what they teach. That's what's in their whatever. They teach whatever your mother is. That's what you are. So if your mother is a ish person, that's what you'll be considered as. You see, which is completely backwards from what how the scriptures teach it. All right. So in all, Israelite man can get with any woman. Doesn't matter. It's it's lawful, and whatever baby that they conceive of that man is gonna come out as an Israelite anyways. You see. So he can get with Edomite, still gonna be an Israelite baby. He can get with a Japhite, still gonna be an Israelite. He can get with a Ammonite or a Moabite, still an Israelite baby. You see? And that's lawful in the eyes of the Lord. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you stay on the right path and serving him, and you don't go into those other women's gods. All right? But just to show you how balanced that is, because in the kingdom they're not going to have no other gods. They're not going to be serving Buddha or fucking Hindu or whatever the other gods that they be serving. They're not going to be Dagon, and they're not going to be serving. Everybody's going to be serving Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see? So that's all I had, man. Lord willing, hope this video tongue twat. Lord willing, hope this video was edifying for you brothers out there. Until next time, shalom.